Thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning. We will open the service with the ringing of the concho bell in just a couple of minutes. Good morning. Today we are celebrating Bodhi Day, a Buddhist holiday commemorating the day Buddha, sometimes known as Siddhartha Gautama or Shakyamuni Buddha, experienced enlightenment. Today is also Shotsuki Hoyo, our monthly memorial service where we honor the lives of loved ones who passed away this month. We will begin with the offering by Dharma School students from the high school class. Thank you, Ava. Now, Reverend Hokai Smitty Smith will now read the December Shotsuki Hoyo names. Please come up and gasho and raihai or bow when the name of your family member is read. Or if you've had a loved one pass away during December whose name is not read, you're also welcome to come up and gasho and bow.
And just to clarify or reiterate, as I read the names, you're welcome to come up and place your palms together, gasho, and bow or raihai as you come forward. If your relative or friend's name is not read, you're also welcome to come forward if you would like to do so and remember them at this time. And just be aware that for those of you who would like to actually oshoko or offer the incense, you can do that toward the end of the service. So it's okay to do that twice in memory of a loved one. Mary Amanmia. Karen Kawasaki, Arikazu Ogasawara, Chieko Yagi, Pat Heiyamoto, Sakiko Kada, Roy Mitchell, Yukiko Negoro, Pauline Masako Nakamura, Kathy Yamada Olson, Ron L. Okuma, George Kitagawa Jr., Yoko Adishi Garcia, Kuriko Darini, Nobuko Uchino, Kenichi Hitomi, Walter Julian Valerie, Ritsuko Tosh Ogier, Caitlin Sky Yotobonmi, Isamu Nakamura, Shizue Yamamoto, Manae Mayumi, Irene Koga, Kasuke Ogata, Eiji Oya, Masao Kishi, Mary Sanaye Yamaguchi, Kaoru Saito Bennett, Koharu Keti Shiraishi, Isamu Sugimoto, Nobuo Narahara, Nobue Nishii, Yoshiko Kashima, Tsuruyo Kawamoto, Taiji Santo Higashi, Ben Honda, Kesuke Okuma, Bunichi Tsukamoto, Kakoaki Kaneko, Asao Momita, Yoshimi Ueije, Take Torimaru, Naomi Campbell, Frank Yanakura, Shigeo Amano, Hikoichi Okimoto, Masaru Higuchi, David H. Uda, Ito Kawamoto, George Hamada, Mitose Okuma, Matsue Tsuji, Aya Tokimura, Zentaro Arumi, Shigeto Amano, Takeshi Okuma, Natsu Tanaka, Takeo Tachiki, Kenji Nishigaki, Hichijiro Masuyaki, Tatsu Hata, Isamu Miyamo, Hiroshi Oyama, Kyoko Hosaka, Yasu Akiyama, Daniel Amano, Sone Takada, Wakako Tsuneyoshi, Masaki Yoshida, Yutaka Amano, Tadasu Oya, Nihei Furusho, Kitsu Ito. Again, you may also come up if a name was not read today, or you may also offer incense at the end of service.
Smitty Sensei will now lead us in the chanting of Sanbujo on page 21 of our service book, followed by Hyobakumon, the intention of the service. The Sangha will then join in the chanting of Jusege on page 35.
Bujo Midanyorai Niudo Jo San Ge Ra Bujo Shaka Nyorai Niudo Jo San Ge Bujo Jipo Nyorai Niudo Jo San Ge Ra Gasho namandab 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 namandab. Join me in Gasho. We gather today, embraced by the wisdom and compassion that is Amida Buddha, to celebrate Bodhi Day, or the enlightenment of the historical Buddha, Shakyamuni. Siddhartha Gautama was a prince who abandoned the riches, power, and prestige of his royal life to seek liberation for not only himself, but for all humankind. After 6 arduous years of searching, Siddhartha was awakened to the ultimate truth and was thereafter known as Shakyamuni Buddha, or sage of the Shakya clan. The Buddha taught the path of awakening to all, and it is through his teachings that we have come to know Amida Buddha and are assured of our own enlightenment. In gratitude, we place our palms together in Gasho and recite, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namandab, 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 Namandab. And we'll now be chanting Jusei-ge, found on page 35 of your books. Gagon chosegan Hishimujodo Shigan Fumanzok Sehujo Shogak Gao Muryoko Huidai Seshu Husai Shobingu Sehujo Shogak Gashi Jobundo Myosho Chojipo Kukyo Mishomon Sehujo Shogak Ryokujin Shonen Jo-e Shubongyo No-do Isho Tenin-shi Jinriki and Daiko Husho Musaido Hojo San Kumyo Kosai Shuyakunan Haihichi Egen Meshi Konmo An Heisokusho Akudo Tsudan Zen Shumon Koso Jomanzok Iyoro Jipo Nichigan Shujuki Tenko Onpugen Ishukai Hozo Kose Kudoku Ho Yo Odai Shuchu Seppo Shishiku Kuyo Isai But Gusoku Shutoku Hon Gan E Shinjoman Doku Isan Gai O Nyobuten Mugechi Tsudaten Mihusho Gangaku Erik Toshi Saisho Son Shiganya Koka Daisen Okando Koku Shotenin Tochin Myoke Byodo sei sai dohon lo dai shin ojo an rako.
Please stand and
Namandab, 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 namandab.
please stand and join me in the recitation of the three treasures on page 91. Hard is it to be born into human life. Now we are living it. Difficult is it to hear the teachings of the Blessed One. Now we hear it. If we do not deliver ourselves in the present life, no hope is there that we shall be freed from suffering and sorrow in the ocean of birth and death. Let us reverently take refuge in the three treasures of the truth. I take refuge in Buddha. May we all together absorb into ourselves the principle of your way to enlightenment and awaken in ourselves our supreme will. I take refuge in Dharma. May we all together be submerged in the depth of the doctrine and gain wisdom as deep as the ocean. I take refuge in Sangha. May we all together become units in true accord in your life of harmony, in a spirit of universal brotherhood, freed from the bondage of selfishness. Even through ages of myriads of kalpas, hard is it to hear such an excellent, profound, and wonderful doctrine. Now we are able to hear and receive it. Let us thoroughly understand the true meaning of Tathagata's teaching. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Butsu, Namo Namandabs, Namandabs, Namandabs. You may be seated. We will now have offerings by representatives of our temple organizations. Representing the Dharma School staff, Nancy Martinez. Representing Junior YBA, Ava Yamamoto. Representing Taiko, Laura Yoshida. Representing Dharma School students, Paulina Covarrubias. Representing Abba, Greg Yanakura. Representing Komon, Joyce Teague. Representing BWA, Mani Ryan. And representing the Buddhist Temple of San Diego, Michael Kinoshita. Smitty Sensei will now introduce our guest minister.
Well, hi again, everybody. This Bodhi Day, we welcome Reverend Hoyo Mezu, Assistant Minister at the West Los Angeles Buddhist Temple, as our guest speaker. And here with Reverend Mezu today is her spouse, Marie Murashiro, who says she's just here as a driver. But thank you for playing that role as well. Reverend Koi studied communications and studio art at UC Davis, and since her graduation in 2002, she's been a storyboard artist working in LA, and she's worked on films and in television. So with that, what do the movies Percy Jackson, Sea of Monsters, Jurassic World, Pokemon Detective Pikachu, Birds of Prey, and Black Panther Wakanda Forever have in common? Well, if you watch those movies until the very end, including all of the credits, you just might catch sight of today's guest speaker's name under the category of storyboard artists. Reverend Mezu has worked on those films and many others, plus a lot of TV series too. And despite that impressive list of movie and TV credits, many of which tell tales of superheroes, her favorite superhero is Superman. Fortunately for us, she's not just an artist, but also a Shin Buddhist priest, having received Tokudo ordination in 2019 and Kyoshi certification earlier this year. And I may be biased, but I think both of those careers are very cool. And I'm impressed at how well Reverend Koe illustrates movie scenes through her drawings, and she illustrates the Dharma through her talks. So somewhat of a super being herself, Reverend Koe wears a huho and wagesa instead of tights and a cape. So here we are with the Bodhi Day message for Dharma School is Reverend Koe Umezu.
Namandats, 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 namandats. Please join me in Gasho as I read words written by our founder, Shinran Shoni. Shakyamuni Buddha appeared in this world and expounded the teachings of the way to enlightenment, seeking to save the multitudes of living beings by blessing them with the benefit of the true and real. Namandats, 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 namandats. Well, good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing today? Good? Awesome. I would like to thank Reverend Smitty for inviting me here to be with you today for Bodhi Day, and thank all of you for coming out to celebrate or commemorate this very special day in our tradition. So as the chairperson explained and Reverend Smitty explained in the aspiration, the dedication, right? What are we celebrating today? Bodhi Day. What does that mean? Yes, it's when Siddhartha Gautama became enlightened, right? He became a Buddha. So, as Reverend Smitty also alluded to, I like superheroes. So, I think that this means that this is when Siddhartha Gautama gained his superpowers of enlightenment and became the hero that we call Buddha. Do all of you have a favorite character or superhero? Yeah? So I'm sure if you have a favorite character or superhero, of all the adventures that our favorite characters go on, what's the most important story that we should know about them? What's the most important adventure? Their origin, right? How they got their powers, right? Spider-Man was bitten by a radioactive spider. The Flash was struck by lightning. Luke Skywalker inherited his powers from Jedi Master, who was his father and trained by Master Yoda. Of course, my favorite character, Superman, was sent to Earth in a craft, right, from a planet called Krypton. So do you all know what Shakyamuni Buddha's origin story is? I hope you at least know it a little bit. But I think it's a very important story that we should all know. So I would like to share it with you today. And I don't have any slides or anything, so I would like to invite you to use your imaginations today when I tell this story. And if you feel that you need to close your eyes to listen, that's okay. So long time ago, right, not in a galaxy far, far away, but in northern India, a baby boy was born to a king named Suddhodana Gautama and a queen named Maya. They were the king and queen of an area called Kapilavastu. And they named their new son Siddhartha. And shortly after Siddhartha was born, a prophecy was made that Siddhartha would either become a powerful king or a Buddha, an awakened one. Of course, his father wanted him to follow in his footsteps and become a great king as well. And Suddhodana knew that if his son were to be exposed to other people out in the world who were in pain and suffering, that Siddhartha would become a Buddha. So in order to prevent this from happening, Suddhodana decided that he would do everything he could to shelter his son and push him in the direction that he wanted, the direction of being a great king. So as Siddhartha grew up, he was given everything he ever wanted. He was given the best education. He was trained even to become the best warrior. He had servants bring him whatever he wanted. He had people there cleaning up after him. He was on track to become the best king that Kapilavastu had ever had. In his life, he even got married, and he had a son who would become the king after him. You know, the way we look at life, we could say, hey, he was living a great life, right? Only he was never allowed to leave the grounds of his home. He had never seen the city or the people that he was eventually supposed to lead. So, eventually, at the age of 29 years old, one day he asked his chariot driver to take him around the city. And so they left the house, they left the palace, and as he was being taken around, he saw many things that he had either never seen before or he had really never noticed before. Of these sights, 4 things stood out. First, Siddhartha noticed someone who looked elderly. Chandaka, the driver. Chandaka, what is wrong with that person? He asked this to the chariot driver, Chandaka, as he pointed to the elderly person. Chandaka answered, oh, that person is growing old. That will happen to everybody. Siddhartha was in shock because he had never seen that before, or at least he had never noticed it before. As they continued on, Siddhartha then saw a sick person. He said, Chandaka, what's happening to that person over there? Chandaka replied, that person is suffering from a disease. All of us will experience disease and pain at some point in our lives. Again, Siddhartha's mind was blown. A third sight caught Siddhartha's eye. It was a funeral procession with the dead body. What's happening over there? Someone has died. This is inevitable for all of us. Siddhartha was overcome with sadness to see all of the suffering that was going on around him, that people were enduring. Towards the end of his outing, he saw someone who looked peaceful and settled. Who is that? What is that person? That person is a monk. Monks are people who search for the spiritual truth and spiritual joy in order to overcome suffering. Siddhartha then knew that this is what he also must do. So the next day, he announced to his family that he would be leaving the palace to go live in the forest with other monks. He denounced the throne, and leaving behind his family and all the material things he had, he left the palace immediately. In the forest, he spent years joining various groups and tried all types of different practices in order to find the answer of how to overcome suffering. But nothing worked for him. Eventually, he and a few other monks decided to try depriving themselves of all worldly goods, including clothes, including food. As they did this, Siddhartha eventually became so weak and malnourished that he almost died. At that time, a woman happened to be walking by and saw Siddhartha suffering like this. So she gave him food and water out of compassion. With the nourishment that she provided, Siddhartha was able to kind of reassess and think about what he was doing. This can't be right? I almost died starving myself. So this can't be the answer to pain and suffering. It just caused me more pain and suffering. Those other meditation practices weren't helping me get an answer either. What should I do? So he saw a tree and he decided, I will sit here under this tree and reflect on all that I have learned so far until I figure out how to solve the issues of pain and suffering. So that's what he did. He sat there, thinking, reflecting. He did this until he finally realized, I got it. I understand what causes suffering, and I understand how to get rid of it. And so Siddhartha became awakened to the truth about human life. Now, you might think that the story ends there, but every great story, it doesn't end until there's a showdown, a third act between superheroes and the villain, So this is true for Siddhartha's story too. Once he awakened with this truth, he didn't know what to do with it. He didn't think that anyone would believe him, and even if they did believe him, he didn't think anybody would understand what it was that he awakened to. So he sat there, he continued to sit there to decide what to do next. And as he sat there thinking, a dark spirit called Mara came to challenge him. This seat of awakening does not belong to you. I am the rightful heir. People will worship me. Mara sent princesses and riches to try to tempt Siddhartha to leave the monk life and go back to the life he was leading. But Siddhartha, he didn't flinch. Mara then sent armies of monsters to attack Siddhartha. But no matter how hard they tried to hurt him, they could not. Mara, getting frustrated, challenged Siddhartha. I have whole armies who will support me. You are by yourself. Who supports you? Siddhartha then calmly put his right hand on the ground and touched the earth. The whole earth shook, and nature roared back to Mara, "I support this Buddha." With that, Mara realized that he was outnumbered, he was defeated, and so the spirit retreated. And Siddhartha realized that he must share this teaching with others to protect all others from Mara. Mara is the spirit that represents our greed, our anger, our ignorance. And so from that, Siddhartha stood up from his seat under the tree, now a true Buddha, not just one who was awakened, but one who wanted to share the joy and tranquility of non-suffering. And he began to teach what he had learned. He began to turn the wheel of Dharma. So this is the origin story of Shakyamuni Buddha. It is very important for us to know Shakyamuni Buddha's origin story, but it is equally as important for us to know why Shakyamuni Buddha decided to share what he awakened to. Shakyamuni Buddha realized at this time of enlightenment that he needed to share the wisdom and compassion that he awakened to. And this was the wisdom and compassion of Amida Buddha. Shakyamuni Buddha realized he needed to share this wisdom and compassion with all beings. So this is what he set out to do. This is in line with Amida Buddha's vow, compassionate vow, to embrace all beings, to bring them all to be born in the Buddha land to receive awakening, enlightenment. And so, through this, Shakyamuni Buddha left us this teaching so that we too can receive Amida Buddha's wish that is always working to guide all of us throughout our lives through its wisdom, and is always embracing all of us through their compassion without exception. Whether we are experiencing joyful times in life, challenging times, difficult times, sad times, Amida Buddha is always here with each and every one of us without exception. Shakyamuni Buddha even gave us a special word to call out so that we can let Amida Buddha know that we know that they're there, like a special greeting between us and Buddha. So have you all seen Big Hero 6? Yeah, what is the special greeting between Hero and Baymax? The fist bump? Ba-la-la-la, right? That's their special greeting. Our special greeting with Buddha is to put our hands together and recite Namo Amida Butsu. This is how we communicate with Buddha. This is how we greet Buddha. This is how Buddha greets us. So this name, Namo Amida Butsu, that's Buddha's full name, Namo Amida Butsu, is how we connect with Shakyamuni Buddha, how we connect with Amida Buddha. And today is your Shotsuki Hoyo service as well. This is also how we connect with all of our loved ones that have passed away, now guiding us in the same wisdom and compassion. So, as we continue to reflect on Bodhi Day today, I hope that all of us, and students as you go to your classes, you remember not just the story of Shakyamuni Buddha, not just the origin story, because I'm sure as you will learn in your classes, there's a lot we can learn from that story. But we should also remember the very important teaching and practice that Shakyamuni Buddha left for all of us, which is Amida Buddha's vow to rescue all of us from our unhappiness and suffering. And we were given the special greeting, Namo Amida Butsu, for us to recite. Thank you very much for allowing me to share this special story with you today. And please join me in Gasho as I conclude this Dharma School message. Namandaps, 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 namandaps.
Thank you, Reverend Umezu, for your Dharma School message focused on the story of Buddha's origin. I really enjoyed listening to you tell the story. Now please rise for the Gatha farewell on page 107. School is over for another day. Let's gather around the shrine, bow our heads and say, thank you, teacher, for your help. Thank you, everyone. Buddha's love will keep us safe till our work is done. We'll meet again next week. Won't you take good care? Let us try to do what's right, always kind and fair. We shall spread the happiness faith in Buddha brings. Now it's time to say goodbye till our meet again. Sing this fine refrain. Namo Amida Butsu, sunny day or rain. Namo Amida Butsu, strong in faith remain. Namo Amida Butsu, till we meet again. Please remain standing as we recite our pledge, which can be found on the insert in your book. Breaking out of my shell, I will share a warm smile and speak gentle words, just like the kind Buddha. Not becoming lost in my greed, anger, and ignorance, I shall think and act with an open mind, just like the calm and peaceful Buddha. Not putting myself first, I will share in the joy and sadness of others, just like the compassionate Buddha. Realizing the gift of life I have received, I shall strive to live each day to its fullest, like the Buddha who tirelessly works to liberate all. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Davs, Namo Davs. Please be seated. Do we have any announcements?
Good morning. I'm Nancy. The Dharma School will be having a group activity after the service, so we'll be meeting in room 6. I noticed a few new students possibly or visitors, and if they'd like to join us, they are welcome to do so. We also, Dharma School put up our Bodhi tree on the outside of the Hondo, and they expressed things they are grateful for, and if you'd like to add a leaf to our tree, you're welcome to do that. December 31st, Dharma School is participating in a Feeding San Diego effort. We still have a few openings, and if you're interested in joining us, please see me. And on January 2nd, Dharma School will be doing a walk in the Torrey Pines Reserve. So if you're interested in that, please see me as well. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Just a reminder that we are still running the winter clothing donation drive. We are supporting our local homeless population through Streets of Hope. So we need pretty much any kind of warm clothing, thick socks, hoodies, sweatpants, that sort of thing. So we are officially closing this donation drive on the 18th. So you still have some time. If you have anything in your closet that you want to get rid of, anything warm, you can bring it to the temple. So thanks to anyone who's already supported this initiative. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm unmasked. I just want to let you know that the Born Again shop is going to be open during Mochitsuki. Those hours, some of us decided at the last minute, we're going to put out a few tables worth of items from a Born Again that might be suitable for gift giving. We haven't decided yet whether we'll put the tables outside by the Mochitsuki pickup or if we'll put it back in room 4. So keep an eye open for us, and just know that whatever you purchase, the proceeds will go towards temple scholarships. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. This is Bill. And I just wanted to let you know to make plans for the end of the year. On New Year's Eve here at the temple, I believe at 7, we'll have a brief service and everyone will get a chance to ring the temple bell, the concho bell, which you don't ordinarily see, but it's hung from just behind me in the side to the side of the temple. And it's lots of fun if you haven't done it before. We also will be meeting as a group at Shelter Island, where there's a large friendship bell, about 2 tons, but it is almost identical to the temple bells that are rung throughout Japan on New Year's Eve, in which the followers of Buddha are able to go ahead and make sure that the bell is rung at least 108 times, so that our 108 imperfections are all taken care of, and we get to start the new year with a clean slate. So you have 2 opportunities to start the new year right. I hope to see you there. Thank you. Oh, I'm so sorry. The Shelter Island event starts at 11:30. Thank you.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Just wanted to remind everybody of Mochitsuki next Sunday. So hope everybody is ready to come out to make some the mochi, the sweet rice cakes that we have for the new year. And we have, there is a lot. We're going to make probably over 900 pounds of mochi next Sunday. So we'll need everybody's help to come out to do whatever things there are to do. So that'll be starting from 6 a.m. on Sunday. So if you're able to come out to help, that would be great. Thank you for those who have placed your orders for mochi. Today's the absolute last day you could order if you haven't done so. So please do so today. And then, so 6 o'clock, we start next Sunday. If you could put in, a couple hours of time during your busy schedules, you may do so. And there won't be a service next Sunday, so no service, okay? It's Mochitsuki Day, okay? Thank you.
Okay, so now Michael Kanoshita will now share words of appreciation.
First of all, Luann Lee apologized for not being here at today's service, so I am representing the temple today. So it's great to see everyone here today, and for people who are via live stream, the Bodhi Day service, and also to remember our loved ones for the Shotsuki Hoyo. Again, on behalf of the Buddhist Temple San Diego, I'd like to thank Reverend Koe Umezu for making the time to come down to San Diego and give a meaningful Dharma message, and we look forward to her Bodhi Day Dharma message for the adults. Also thank Reverend Umezu's spouse, Marie, for apparently driving her down here and coming and attending also. Also, in addition, I'd like to thank Reverend Hokai Smitty Smith for our fishing service, and Reverend Laverne Imorti and Noriko Kawai for co-officiating, Yukari Williams for preparing the Japanese Dharma message. Also, the minister assistants for their participation in the service and preparing the Naijin. Lisa Umakubo for chairing the service, the temple representatives for participating today, the high school class for providing the fruit and floral offering, Robert Yamamoto for providing the musical presentation, and Reverend Honda for ringing the kancho. Again, and finally, in deep gratitude, thank the Sangha for your support and generous donations today, and for all the past and all in the future. And we look forward to seeing you in the upcoming events. Thank you very much.
We will now dismiss Dharma School students. Students and teachers, please come up to the front and do Oshoko before you join the group craft session for today. Smitty Sensei will now lead us in the chanting of the Vandana and Tisarana, which is on page 96 of the service book.
And if everyone would kindly join in on both parts, whether it says leader or Sangha, and chant along with me through the whole thing. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Homage to him, the exalted one, the enlightened one, the supremely awakened one. Buddham saranam gacchami, Dhammam saranam gacchami, Sangham saranam gacchami. I go to the Buddha for guidance. I go to the Dharma for guidance. I go to the Sangha for guidance. Namo Kie Butsu. Namo Kie Ho. Namo Kie So. Gasho Namandab, 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 Namab, Namandab.
Smitty Sensei will now introduce our guest minister.
This microphone's very low. I never said that height was a superpower for Reverend Koei, okay? I did not mention that. So the name Reverend Umezu might be familiar to many of you, actually, but not necessarily Reverend Koei Umezu. You might be more familiar with Reverend Koei Umezu's father, former BCA Bishop Kodo Umezu. And it's actually thanks to Bishop Umezu that I was able to go through both Tokudo ordination and Kyoshi certification with Reverend Koei, getting to know her better as we traveled along this shared journey. And you know, if I recall correctly, when Reverend Koei would initially hear people say, "Hey, Reverend Umezu," she would turn around and look and see if her dad was standing behind her. And I assume these days she's a little more used to hearing people say, "Hi, Reverend Umezu," and realize that it's meant for her without automatically looking for her father anymore. But something I found that both Reverend Umezus have in common is this wonderful ability to share the Dharma in an understandable and a relatable way. And so with her Bodhi Day message to the Sangha, here again is Reverend Koei Umezu.
Namandabs, 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 namandabs. I'd like to invite, oops, this mic is tall. I would like to invite all of you to join me with palms together as I read the passage once again, written by our tradition's founder, Venerable Shindan. Shakyamuni Buddha appeared in this world and expounded the teachings of the way to enlightenment, seeking to save the multitudes of living beings by blessing them with the benefit of that which is true and real. Namandabs, 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 namandabs. Oh, good morning again, everybody. Is everybody still doing okay? Okay, good. Once again, my heartfelt, appreciation to Reverend Smitty for inviting me to speak here and share my appreciation of the Dharma today at San Diego for this Bodhi Day service. So as you all know, a Bodhi Day is the observance of Shakyamuni Buddha attaining enlightenment, or Bodhi. In Sanskrit, it's called Bodhi. That's why this is Bodhi Day, Enlightenment Day. So Bodhi is the Sanskrit word that means either enlightenment or awakening. And in Buddhism, awakening or enlightenment is equivalent to nirvana. Nirvana, another Sanskrit word. And nirvana means the complete extinction of that which causes suffering and unhappiness. So the opposite of unhappiness and suffering is perfect tranquility, deep joy. This is why nirvana is sometimes called, peace and joy. So the liberation, being freed from these roots of suffering, is said to be joy and perfect tranquility. And in our tradition, this is what we call being born in Buddha's realm, or being born in the Pure Land. As I mentioned in the story earlier, Shakyamuni Buddha, the world-honored one, was not sure if he should share what he awakened to with anyone else. He didn't think that anyone else would be able to understand this Dharma. He sat for days contemplating on the matter, coming to the conclusion that this Dharma to which he awakened needed to be shared with the world for each and every individual. It was at that time that Shakyamuni Buddha became part of the wish and aspiration of Amida Buddha that all beings attain perfect tranquility. This is the aspiration and vow of Amida Buddha. Amida Buddha vowed that their wisdom, their light, and their life, also known as their compassion, will reach all beings without exception, so that this perfect tranquility can be attained by all of us. As Venerable Shinran clarified in the passage that I just read, sharing this teaching is why Shakyamuni Buddha appeared in this world and shared the Dharma. It was to share Amida Buddha's vow and make the Buddha name, Namo Amida Butsu, heard in this world. Why was it so important that this vow be heard in this world? Why did the urgency arise in Shakyamuni Buddha to share this teaching? To answer these questions, we must first understand why the vow was established and fulfilled in the first place. In the Sutra of Immeasurable Life, which is the sutra that our tradition follows, Dharmakara Bodhisattva states that they would become a Buddha to bring all living beings in the realm of birth and death, who are living in fear and ignorance, to its Buddha land, so that they can dwell in peace and happiness. The Bodhisattva vowed that there would be nowhere that their name is not heard, and that they would always preach the Dharma with a lion's roar, bestowing the treasure of Dharma virtue with all beings, or upon all beings. So this term, or this phrase, all living beings in the realm of birth and death, living in fear and ignorance, right? These are kind of abstract words, right? What does this mean? But it's referring to us, everyday people living in the everyday world. Why are we being described as living in fear and ignorance? What does it mean to live in fear and ignorance? So, to quote a line from the Christian Bale version of Batman, the Batman movie, there's the line, "We always fear what we don't understand." Doesn't this sound true? We always fear what we don't understand. And to paraphrase a great Jedi master, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, right? So in short, these lines stand out to me because to me they encapsulate what Shakyamuni Buddha was trying to teach us. The root cause of our fears, our anger, our aversions, right, the things we don't like, it's based in our ignorance, our misunderstanding about and confusion about myself, others, and the world around me. The Buddha also called this living in delusion. I would like to clarify and add that Master Yoda concludes his quote by saying, hate leads to suffering. But based on my understanding of the Buddha Dharma, experiencing ignorance, fear, anger, and hate is to live in unease and happiness, or what we call suffering. So this is why the Buddha is saying that we live in suffering and ignorance. We live in fear and ignorance. And we doesn't just mean us as individuals, but we also means us as a collective society. So this is why Dharmakara Bodhisattva became the Buddha, whose name could be heard anywhere and everywhere, whose light shines anywhere and everywhere. Both the name and the light are everywhere at all times, unhindered without exception. That means that there's nowhere that the light doesn't touch, no one that the light doesn't touch. All of this is Buddha's wisdom and compassion. We call it wisdom and compassion. It is the activity of wisdom and compassion itself that we call this wisdom and compassion Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Buddha. So for me, what makes it difficult to talk about this great wisdom and compassion sometimes in Dharma messages is that some of us lean towards receiving this message through highlighting compassion, right? We want to hear messages that say, oh, you know, there's hope in the world, we should love everybody, gratitude, right? But some of us, maybe we are just, you know, some people are more emotional, some people are more intellectual. They prefer to hear the message, you know, through knowledge. Oh, tell me about the doctrine, tell me about the rules, right? So there's all different types of people. We want to hear Buddha's knowledge or Buddha's emotion and how it can help us in our daily lives. We each of us here has our own preconceived notions of how we like to hear Dharma messages, right? Based on our own causes and conditions, based on our own, this means that it's, you know, based on our own individual experiences, our conscious and subconscious memories, right? We all have our own inclinations, judgments, prejudices that influence our decision and behaviors and how we move in the world, right? So not just with Dharma messages, right? But this is how we live in the world. We make quick judgments based on the foundation of the idea of, I like this, or I like that. This is good for me. This is bad for me, right? In modern language, we call this bias, right? Judgment and bias. And if we're not aware that we have this, we call it implicit bias, right? That's the language we use today. So our biases and implicit biases not only influence how we like to hear the Dharma message, but I think that it's also really influencing our daily life, right? Whether we like to admit it or not. I don't like to admit it, but I know that I have all different kinds of biases, you know. I would like to share, you know, maybe some biases that I've had in my life, where I have, you know. When I hear about a Denzel Washington movie, I automatically assume it's going to be good. I'm just like, oh, Denzel, I'm going to like this movie, right? Or when I'm searching Netflix, George Clooney movie. George Clooney is boring. I'm not going to like this movie. I automatically make these quick judgments, right? And some silly, well, I don't know if they're silly, but I have a thing with restaurant names. Okay, I hope nobody here owns a restaurant like this, and if you do, I'm really sorry. But I, for some reason, don't feel like I want to eat at restaurants if a city name or a place name is in the title, like California Chicken Cafe or like California Pizza Kitchen, Tokyo Grill, Hong Kong Express, those kind of names. For some reason, I'm just like, oh, the restaurant's not going to be good. You know, that's not based on any fact, it's just based on my own quick judgments and biases. And another thing that I have a bias towards is things and people that are taller than me. Okay, so I am short, as Reverend Smitty said, and you could see. When I was really small, everything was like really big to me, right? So everything was really scary. And so I've grown up with that image that things that are bigger than me are scary. So I'm sure, do any of you have quick judgments like this that you've made in your own life, right? So my examples may not seem, you know, on the big picture, may not seem harmful, right? But to anyone who is a proud owner of a restaurant that has a place in its name, right, I may have hurt their feelings or made them angry. I may have hurt Reverend Smitty's feelings by saying that things that are bigger than me scare me, right? Hopefully, as I mentioned, hopefully it's not the case that anyone has a restaurant like that, and so I'm sorry. But in any case, you know, these are examples of how any judgment that we make based on our own ignorance and our own fears can cause harm to others, whether we mean to or not. And isn't it also true that if we hear that someone has made a judgment about us, myself, out of someone else's fear and ignorance, right, my feelings get hurt. I don't want to hear those kind of judgments from someone that doesn't know me, right? So this is my self-centered heart and mind. This is our self-centered heart and mind. We might, you know, think, oh, well, having biases is wrong, having judgments is wrong. But the Buddha also teaches that this is how our minds work. This is how we are conditioned to live. There are some biases that we harbor that, you know, we might become aware of and realize, oh, I should probably work on that. But if we are true to ourselves, we will realize that in order to live in this world, we are constantly having to make quick judgments, whether we like it or not. My examples, as I mentioned, I hope are relatively, you know, innocuous. But, you know, I still have judgments and biases against people. For example, in my workplace, I just assume, oh, it's a producer, they're like this. Oh, the directors are like that, right? And when we get into implicit biases and judgments we're not aware that we're making, right? Hot topic items in society, right, are like biases towards, you know, other ethnicities that are different than us, religions, politics, etc., right? These judgments and biases that are based on our fear and ignorance have much more real world consequences, right? So discernments, judgments, thoughts of likes and dislikes are constantly arising in our hearts and minds, whether we are consciously aware of it or not. So as long as we are living in this world, right, sadly, we cannot escape it. As much as we may want to escape this behavior, because this behavior is ingrained in us like a really bad habit, we may know it's wrong and we want to get over it, but we can't because it's a really bad habit. We'll never be able to overcome our biases and quick judgments in our lifetime, if at all. So then, what hope do we have? What hope do I have to ever escape this cycle of suffering due to fear and ignorance? I think it is through Buddha's wisdom, right? Hearing Buddha's wisdom that we can begin to reflect. Is what I think of this other thing or these people really what they actually are? Or is my feeling an expression of my fear and ignorance? Right? It is precisely for someone such as myself who can't escape fear and ignorance that Dharmakara Bodhisattva vowed to unfailingly bring all beings to attain Bodhi in its Buddha land. It is precisely why the Bodhisattva became Namo Amida Butsu, Through the fulfillment of their vows, Namo Amida Butsu itself became the embodiment of great unhindered wisdom, great compassion, pure virtues. All of this is inside Namo Amida Butsu. The wisdom of impermanence and codependent origination is inside Namo Amida Butsu. The compassion that all beings are equally valuable and equally embraced are inside Namo Amida Butsu. The pure virtues of selflessness, non-craving, non-attachment, truth and reality are inside Namo Amida Butsu. So when we hear Namo Amida Butsu, we are receiving these benefits of the Buddha, the benefits of that which is true and real, just as they are. When we hear Namo Amida Butsu, we are receiving Buddha's wisdom, which is being shared with us out of compassion, with having the heart to guide and rescue all beings, out of this realm of fear and ignorance to the realm of pure peace and tranquility. When we hear Namo Amida Butsu, we are receiving Buddha's great compassion, which is being shared with all of us, out of the wisdom that if there is even one person suffering, then the world can never truly attain peace. With this mind of wisdom and this heart of compassion, Amida Buddha and Shakyamuni Buddha are continuously working to make this name, Namo Amida Butsu, heard by all people living in any place, at any time. Not just any time in our lives, but any time throughout history. This mind of wisdom guides me to realize that I should not dismiss a restaurant just because I don't like its name. This mind of wisdom guides me to realize that tall people aren't out to get me, right? Reverend Smitty is one of my really good Dharma friends. So Buddha is constantly reminding me that, until I give something a chance, I don't really know what it's like. At the same time, though, this heart of compassion gives me solace that when these judgments and biases do arise inside of me, Buddha does not scold me, Buddha does not condemn me, Buddha does not give up on me. Buddha continues to embrace and guide me as I am. Buddha continues to meet me, guiding me and embracing me wherever and whenever I am in my life. So whether we are people who prefer to hear messages about compassion or we prefer to hear messages about wisdom, please remember that Namo Amida Butsu itself has both of it inside of it, as it is. And it is reaching out to each and every one of us as we are. Through this wisdom, when we are made to become aware of the biases that we may harbor, especially with how we listen to the Dharma, that's when we can begin to set them aside, right? And listen to Namo Amida Butsu as it is, because it was made for you as you are. It was made for me as I am. It was made for all of us as we are. Because it already embodies everything necessary to guide and rescue us from our suffering of fear and ignorance, there is nothing more to add to it. There is nothing that needs to be removed from it. We only need to sincerely hear it and receive it as it is, without doubting its capability to fulfill its purpose of guiding and embracing us to the Buddha realm as we are. To share this teaching and practice of Namo Amida Butsu is the reason Shakyamuni Buddha appeared in this world. As Venerable Shinran clarified, Shakyamuni Buddha appeared in this world and expounded the teachings of the way to enlightenment, seeking to save the multitudes of living beings by blessing them with the benefit of that which is true and real. So I hope, as each of us continues to listen to the Buddha Dharma, specifically Namo Amida Butsu, the calling name of Buddha, I hope that we can all openly receive Buddha's sincere, true mind of wisdom and Buddha's heart of great compassion as it is. And I hope that Namo Amida Butsu is the Buddha name that we can all continue to recite so that we too can participate in sharing this great teaching and practice with others, so that they too can receive the benefits of the Buddha's true mind of wisdom and great heart of compassion. I would like to conclude my message by reading a letter written by Master Renyo to his followers in the 15th century, 1400s. I will read it in English and then Japanese. Lay people in the latter age who lack wisdom should deeply rely on Amida Buddha with singleness of heart, entrusting themselves to the Buddha single-mindedly and unwaveringly for their emancipation without turning their thoughts to other matters. However deep and heavy their evil karma may be, Amida Tathagata unfailingly saves them. This is the essence of the 18th vow that assures our birth in the Pure Land through the Nembutsu. Once our heart is thus settled, we should say the Nembutsu, whether awake or asleep, for as long as we live. Humbly and respectfully. Matandai muchi no zaike shinju no nanyo taran tomogara wa kokoro itotsu ni shite Amida Buddha fukaku tanomi mairasete さらに世の方へ心を振らず、一心にこにぶ助けたまえともさん、主上も。たとえ在後は人獣なりとも、必ず皆如来は救い、ましますべし。これすなわち第18の念仏の上の世願の心なり。核のごとく健常しての上には寝ても覚めても命のあらん限りは称名念仏すべきものなり。あなかしこ、あなかしこ。Namandab, Snamandab, 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 Namandab, Snamandab.
Thank you, Reverend Umezu, for another wonderful Dharma message. Thank you for sharing your wisdom and compassion. Please rise as we sing the Gatha on Dokson 2 on page 128. Namandabs, namandabs, namandabs. please put your hands together for closing meditation. Do not seek to know Buddha by his form and attributes, for neither the form nor attributes are the real Buddha. The true Buddha is enlightenment itself. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namandams, Namandams. A special thank you to Reverend Ko Umezu for joining our Bodhi Day service today. Thank you so much. Thank you to Reverend Mary Beth Smith for officiating. Thank you to our minister's assistants, Reverend Laverne Imori, Yukari Williams, Noriko Kawai, and to our minister's assistants. Thank you, Brevin Honda, for ringing the concho, and Robert Yamamoto for accompanying us as we sang the gathas. And special thank you to Shirley and Naomi for providing flowers. And thank you to all of you for attending today's special Bodhi Day service. You are welcome to Oshoko if you haven't done so. And Minister's Assistant Yukari Williams will be offering a message in Japanese immediately following the service. Or if you don't speak Japanese or understand Japanese, please join us for refreshments in the dining room downstairs. Thank you.
So I guess the windows. I really like your cover here.
Oh, thank you. It was a great talk that you had. Our juniors are going to be doing a seminar, this seminar one.
Oh, okay.
Buddhism by the border. They've been working on our tradition. Did you have a lot of, I'm assuming you had a lot of background in art?
Yeah, I'm always wonderful player.
Was it something that you always, is that something that you, I guess, are you at the point where you want to be, or you want to be in a different position, directing those?
それでは、日本語法学を始めます。それでは始める前に、合唱と礼拝をお願いいたします。生身だまし、生身だま今日3回目のお釈迦様が、悟りを開かれたお話をします。皆さんこんにちは。本日は浄土への法要にようこそいらっしゃいました。浄土へとはお釈迦様が悟りを開いたことを記念する法要で、英語ではボディデーと言います。もう皆様ご存知だと思います。サンディエゴ仏教会ではお釈迦様を記念する法要が、本日の浄土会を含め年3回あります。まず、今日が12月8日の浄土会の法要、それから4月8日の花祭り、お釈迦様のお誕生日の法要で、本堂がお花でたくさん飾られてとてもきれいですよね。3つ目は2月15日の涅槃会。これはお釈迦様のご命日でございます。お釈迦様は亡くなられて最終的な涅槃に入られました。本日行われた浄土会の法要は他の2つの法要と同じくとても大事な法要です。お釈迦様が悟りを開かれたため、世の中の人々は仏教を学ぶことができてとても素晴らしいことです。皆様はもうご存知のことですが、お釈迦様は29歳の時、王位を捨てて修行の道に入られ、6年間とてもつらい修行をされました。その修行は大変に厳しいもので、ご飯を何日も食べなかったり、水を控えたり、木から逆さまにぶら下がったり、とにかく体につらいことをたくさんして、自分の持っている煩悩を追い出すために続けられました。しかし、そのような修行を続けても、体は弱っていくばかりで、もう少しで死にそうになりました。そこでスジャータという女の人が 死にかけているお釈迦様にお粥を持ってきてくれて、お釈迦様は命を取り留めました。体が元気になったお釈迦様は菩提樹の下へ行き、49日間瞑想をしてお悟りを開かれました。その時お釈迦様はこの世の真理をはっきり理解されました。80歳で亡くなられるまで熱心に伝道を続けられました。そのおかげで世の中のたくさんの人々が仏教を学ぶことができるようになったのです。浄土真宗においてもお釈迦様がお悟りを開かれたということはとても重要なことです。なぜなら仏説無量寿経というお経にお釈迦様が阿弥陀様について説いておられるからです。仏説無量寿経は英語ではラージャーストラと言われていますが、これはお釈迦様の言葉が書かれてあるお経で、浄土真宗ではとても大事なお経です。仏説とはお釈迦様が説かれたという意味で、無量寿とは阿弥陀様のことです。ですので仏説無量寿経とはお釈迦様が説かれた阿弥陀仏の見教えという意味です。親鸞上人も正信下の中にお釈迦様がこの世に現れたのは阿弥陀仏の見教えを伝えるためですとおっしゃっています。ですからこの浄土への法要は浄土真宗の門徒にとってもとても大事な法要です。お釈迦様が命を落とすほどの修行をされて、それでも悟られず、もう少しで死んでしまうところをスジャータさんに助けられて、その後菩提樹の下で悟られ、世の中の真理を発見なさった。その教えは世界中に広まりました。お釈迦様は阿弥陀仏の見教えも説かれました。私はそのことに大変感謝して今日のお話を終わりにします。皆様今日は私の話を聞いてくださいましてどうもありがとうございました。それではもう一度、最後に合唱と礼拝をお願いいたします。ナムアミダ仏、ナムアミダ仏、ナムアンダーナム。ありがとうございました。